Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video and welcome back to another top 10 list. In today's video, I am going to be naming my top 10 current favorite professional athletes. Well, it's actually closer to like a top 17 because I have a bunch of honorable mentions and I'll explain why. Couple of plugs as always, don't forget to use code Wyatt's World on G Fuel, Waggle, or Prize Picks. By using it on G Fuel or Waggle, you'll save a discount on any other products, and by using it at sign up on Prize Picks, you're gonna guarantee yourself to win a free $50 with your first $5 entry. But that's all I got for plugs. Let's get into the video. Okay, so like I mentioned, before we get into this list, we are going to have a bunch of honorable mentions. And the reason there's so many is because I didn't include the I didn't want to include, I should say, the athletes who I talk about very frequently, that I support very frequently, you know, like Josh Allen. Bryce Harper, I just talked about. Julio Rodriguez. Nick Chubb, I've always shown a tremendous amount of support. So like they're on this list, but I wanted to include, you know, somewhat new names. I also didn't want to let the Minnesota bias get in the way. And I'm talking the people who are just, you know, from Minnesota, like Paige Beckers. I love her right now. Jalen Suggs, Tyus Jones, both from Minnesota. Huge supporter of both of them. And then, of course, how could you forget El Grande Americano? I know he's technically from the Gulf of Mexico, but we know who he is. So anyway, even though you will see some Minnesota athletes on here, I just didn't want them taking up the entire list. Now, let's get started with number 10. So starting off with the number 10 spot, we have a wide receiver coming out of the NFL, and it is Brian Thomas Jr. I mean, not only is the guy an electric receiver to watch, but there's something, you know, special about drafting a guy in like the 10th round of fantasy and then sitting back and watching him literally put you on his back and win you $600 in a championship. And that takes it to a whole new level. Dude, this guy was a machine, and he was on one of the shittiest teams in the league. And it's really crazy and almost upsetting to think as to what his stats would have ended if they would have actually started targeting him, you know, a lot before the final 6 weeks of the season. I mean, look at this shit. It's like they had a fucking epiphany in week 13 or something, and they're like, oh my gosh, if we give him targets, he will get receptions and yards and touchdowns. I mean, as if him scoring 5 touchdowns in the first 8 weeks of his career wasn't enough. I don't know what they were waiting on. He could have had 2,000 yards! Brian Thomas Jr. is one of the greatest athletes of all time, and he's also one of my favorites. Moving on to the number 9 spots, coming out of the Pittsburgh Pirates, give me Paul Skenes. Something about a good old fucking flamethrower, man. You can't beat him. This guy also throws a pitch that they like to call the splinker. It's a mix between a sinker and a splitter, and he throws it in the mid-90s. This guy was drafted number 1 overall in 2023, and he was called up last year, where he pitched 23 games, had a win-loss record of 11-3, and an ERA of 1.96. Not to mention he's doing decent this year, too, but for how young this guy is, and how just absolutely dominant he is, it's hard not to support him. And no disrespect to O'Neal Cruz, still got lots of love for you, but Paul Skenes is now the face of that team. Moving on to number 8, we have the only wrestler on this list, but it is actually Bron Breakker. Dude, this guy is a monster, and if you're gonna try and say he's not an athlete, go watch his matches once. Even if you're not a wrestling fan, you will love his matches. Dude, this guy is an electric factory. The energy he has, the energy he gives off, when he gets the dogs barking in the crowd, like, it's awesome. Although I will say this, and I've said this for a while, I'm 100% convinced that before he comes out onto the ramp every single time, he does a 5 to 6 inch line of the world's strongest cocaine. Dude, when he runs against the ropes, he literally shifts the ring. Have you seen him spear someone? Go watch him when he speared Speed in the Royal Rumble. Almost killed him. This guy weighs 250 pounds, and he will go from on the ring floor to on top of the turnbuckle into a hurricanrana to the guy off the top turnbuckle within a span of 3 seconds. He is a literal freak of fucking nature, and he is one of the best things the WWE has right now. Bron Breakker, you're on the list. Moving on to number 7, give me Justin Jefferson. I mean, you kind of had to expect this. I feel like he's a lot of people's favorite athletes, but I do live in the state of Minnesota, so I've been exposed to Justin Jefferson since the start of his career. I mean, the guy's great. One of, if not the best receivers in the league, and he's not an asshole. He just keeps to himself, and he works in silence. Like, he's one of those players where I genuinely feel it's really hard to have anything against him, unless you are a division rival, and he just dominates you. And I know this isn't going to be the biggest flex in the world, but to shine a light on just how awesome and how elite he has been, Justin Jefferson has played 5 years in the NFL, and he has already got more total yards and touchdowns than Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman played 11 seasons with Tom Brady, might I add. Justin Jefferson, as far as superstardom goes, he is this generation's Randy Moss. He is also one of my favorite athletes on this planet. Moving on to number 6, give me KD, Kevin Durant. Some people are gonna hate this because some people really hate KD. I don't. I've always been a big fan of him, to be honest. I think he's one of the best players in the league. He's always been one of the best players in the league. And he's another guy that, as much as people want to say he's a D-bag or whatever, he just kind of keeps to himself, man. Like, KD doesn't like to be obnoxious and, you know, be the center of attention. He just chills out, plays basketball, and he's really good at it. The only reason I think he honestly has haters is because he went to Golden State. You know, back when they were already really good, and heavily helped him win 2 more championships. But why does that make him a shitty person? You know what I mean? We didn't hate Ohtani or Freddie Freeman for going to the Dodgers. Granted, Freddie had won a championship already with the Braves, but I'm just saying, like, wanting to win doesn't make you a bad person. Also, it's not like KD forced himself to be traded or anything. If I'm not mistaken, he was a free agent when he signed. Now, I understand the way he might have ended his term there in OKC might have pissed some people off. I'm not even sure what happened, to be honest. But I feel like this guy just took a bunch of shit because he wanted to win a ring and he was successful at it. I love KD and I'll love him even more next year when he's a Timberwolf. Moving on to number 5, give me Mookie Betts, another guy that actually went to the Dodgers. Everyone goes to the fucking Dodgers. In my opinion, Mookie Betts has been a top 10 baseball player from 2014 when he entered the league to current day. Not to mention the guy's also a professional bowler, which I think I've mentioned before. So it automatically makes me support the guy even more. He's also just one of those players that, like, in and outside of the sport, you never hear anything bad about him. At least I don't. This guy's just a happy father of 2 who also happens to be like a 3-time World Series champion, an MVP, 8-time All-Star, 274 home runs, career batting average of 294, you know, just an absolute demon. Moving on to number 4, give me Tiger Woods. And I know he ruptured his Achilles, but until he says he's retired, he is still a current athlete. And right away, I know Tiger Woods has had some irresponsible mistakes. He has had a bad past when it comes to his marriage. But for a guy who has made as many mistakes as he has, I would say he's about as good of a human being as you can be. He's an excellent father to his kids, an excellent coach to his kids, provides an awesome example as to what it's like to be a good sport in the game of golf or in sports in general. And also, he's just the reason that golf is as big as it is today, and I don't think there's a question about that. You could ask 1,000 people who don't know anything about golf to name one golfer, and I'm telling you right now, 1,000 of them would say Tiger Woods. That is how popular he is. And when you do get to watch him golf, when you're fortunate enough to get to watch him golf, have you seen the crowds that surround him? Have you heard the roars? Nobody, not Brooks Koepka, Bryson DeChambeau, Rory McIlroy, nothing, nobody can draw the attention that he does. Why? Because it's Tiger fucking Woods. The guy could be 65 years old out there swinging a club and he will still have the most eyeballs on him than anybody in the tournament. To be honest, I like golf, but I don't even watch it unless Tiger is golfing. I didn't even watch the Masters. Tiger Woods is one of my favorite athletes of all time. He's one of the most dominant athletes of all time. And I think he's a wonderful example of not all people who make bad mistakes are terrible people. Moving on to number 3, give me Adam Thielen. And I feel bad, by the way, guys. I'm sorry. I forgot that I just made a top NFL player list on every team. So I've talked about Brian Thomas Jr., Justin Jefferson, and Adam Thielen all pretty recently. It is what it is. I apologize. But back to Adam Thielen, yes. I have described this guy many times as this, and I still always will describe him as the Minnesota Dream. I've told this story a million times, but it's just insane. He went to Mankato State, broke about every fucking record you could. Then he didn't end up getting drafted, so he got an internship selling dental equipment, decided, hey, I'm gonna go try out for the Vikings, ended up making the team and became one of the best receivers in Vikings history. And no, I'm not bullshitting there. Prime Adam Thielen, 2016 all the way to about 2020. He was elite, and it was because of his heart, man. He is a workhorse. Adam Thielen is my hero, and he is a top 3 favorite athlete in the world right now to me. Moving on to number 2, we got Bobby Witt Jr. from the Kansas City Royals. Now, okay, listen, not meaning to jump the gun, jump the fence here, but this guy might be the greatest baseball player in the history of the planet. You guys think I'm kidding? Look at this. Let's search the GOAT once. Look what pops up. I don't make it up, man. This guy hits the ball like he sees it in slow motion, and when he fields, he looks like he's a fucking cyborg. Everything about the way Bobby Witt plays is so smooth. His transition into his throw, his swing, how he rounds the bags when he slides. And I know I've said this recently too, but I mean it. If I'm starting an MLB team right now and I have the first #1 overall pick, you can take your Ohtanis, you can take your Acuna Matatas, take your Manny Machados, your Juan Sotos, and shove them up your fucking ass because Bobby Witt is the king. He's also my second favorite athlete right now. And moving on to my favorite athlete in the world today and my favorite Minnesota Timberwolf of all time, it is none other than Anthony Edwards. This guy is the definition of I don't give a fuck. He literally doesn't care, and that is why I love him so much. He is the most outrageous, unpredictable, and rightfully so cocky player in the league right now. This dude doesn't care who he's going against. He isn't scared of anybody, and he will talk shit to anybody. Dude, he blows people up all the time. Like, Minnesota desperately needed a player like him because we don't get players like him often. We get good players, but not players who often talk their shit and back it up like Ant does. He is so much fun to watch. He brings so much attention to the Minnesota Timberwolves. He has made them relevant again. Well, honestly, probably the most relevant they have ever been. And I really do believe that one day he will bring a championship here, and it'll probably be next year when we have KD. Anthony Edwards is my favorite athlete in the world right now. And that is gonna do it, ladies and gentlemen, for my top 10 athletes in the world today. Again, sorry if this video felt repetitive. I really didn't think about that until I was like halfway through. So I hope you guys still enjoyed it. And if you did, please show support because you know I appreciate it. Would like to point out I will not be here tomorrow. I'm helping my cousin put docks in the water all day. So I'll probably see you guys next week. Have a great weekend and I'll see you in the next upload.